one mixing. If we can maybe have one mixing, ladies and gentlemen.
Backbenchers. Oh yeah.
Happy new month, OVFam. Damn. Mwaka sijui inakimbia ikienda wapi. Can't believe it's March already. Welcome to the Ongeza Volume podcast, episode 30. If you're joining us for the first time, Ongeza Volume is a platform that loves and appreciates Kenyan creatives by promoting and collaborating. In the previous episode, we covered events that were attended during the first half of February. In this episode, we'll be discussing events that we attended within the second half of February. Now, before we get into the live shows, there have been some stuff happening na nataka kuongelelea tuseme kama news things that have been happening within the creative scene, and then ndo sasa tuingie kwa shows. Okay? On 13th February, Yaba, the Prince of Rumbakane, reshared one of the Ongeza Volume videos from our Instagram page with the caption, "Just try and keep my name out of your business." Also, Ongeza Volume, I saw your comments on that DJ's post. Now, without even going into the context of whatever the hell that was, it is important for me to highlight this. Najua many of you already reached out to express concern regarding his recent tantrums. The reason I'm discussing this is to make sure we understand that the same thing I told wale fans were 26 kwa comments. As soon as you've put your work out there, it is subject to criticism. What brings out the difference amongst artists is how they handle the feedback regarding their music, their shows, and all of that. So this is to say, tutaendelea kufinya. Hatutatishwa. Whenever there will be sentiments to be expressed, oh baby, trust, they will be. That goes the same to Will Olwande, who was being attacked for sharing feedback by Yaba. Msiwache, please. If you have constructive criticism and or feedback, never be afraid to share it. To add on to this, the Sana Kwa Sana page posted a tweet by the handle Coach Kamo saying, "The state of local music journalism is worrying. A lot of the ones at the forefront want to be the artist's friend rather than a critique. We get phoning content. The ecosystem can't even handle mild critique. We've traded critical perspective for friendly coverage." And the funniest shit about this is it's in relation to South Africa, not even Kenya, meaning it's an everywhere issue. So I thought that was important to highlight. On 15th February, after the Sana Kwa Sana Sunday session, they played Michelle Gatwiku's Sundays. Na sikutosheka, nikaenda streaming platforms nikapata her profile na Muziki haziko anymore. The pain. Lakini angalau bado ziko YouTube. Nilipata hata comments za wasee huko wakiuliza rada, mbona amepotelea kule kwingine. Anyway, if you haven't experienced Michelle Gatwiku before, you can go and check out her music. It must have been released 5 years ago. Also, recently I've just been thinking about life outside of streaming platforms. I think that is something worth exploring. I'm still working on it. Nikishamaliza kucook na kuresearch, I'll definitely share with you guys. Isiwe tu tunategemea the green app. Same day, the Toxic Lyrically and Brooklyn Boys beef was brought to my attention, incepted by Toxic Lyrically going live on Instagram, calling out artists using dancehall, claiming that wanamkopi. Petty, in my opinion. Juu huwezi gatekeep genre mzima. Turns out Brooklyn Boys had dropped a track titled Shillings. Kiasi wakadrop Steamer. In response, Toxic dropped Dump Site. Following up on that, Brooklyn Boys then dropped Genje Sana. And lastly, Toxic akatoa Bad Every Day. Now, music beefs are healthy, and so is competition. Now, what we shouldn't be doing is enacting violence. This goes to show how impactful music and artistry is, ndio mafan waanze kupigana, ni serious. So pia, that shows that artists should actually practice caution in wording, and it's quite important. Kwanza kwa hizo lives zenye wasanii mnafanya. What disgusted me the most about this whole situation is the involvement of Mauru Gwash. That guy has been saying so many foul things on the internet, and the worst of them all is him and his gang threatening to rape Mr. Wright's girlfriend. Now, when sexual violence is used as a threat to parties that were not even involved in this beef, no, no. Msitumie mziki na usanii to bring out your foul characters and eroded morals. When these things are said online without consequences, we continue to normalize sexual violence, and it's used to revenge and other petty reasons, especially in a country that is having a rise in femicide cases. Please, nimekata. That was very wrong. Be fishes, honestly. I'm tired. And I think hata ilisha. Now into the shows that were attended. On the 18th of February, I attended Kenyanpick Presents AfricanVic and Shad Muziki at the Beer District. I've been wanting to experience AfricanVic live. I believe he's extremely talented. At least we've been able to experience Shad Muziki live several times. He's performed at different venues in the recent past. So that's a good thing. If this is the first time you're hearing of these artists, please go and find their music. They're available on all distribution platforms, AfricanVic and Shad Muziki. The first act was AfricanVic, and he was backed by Nitkag. It was an acoustic set. His vocals are unreal. Nate was also doing background vocals for him as he played the acoustic guitar. AfricanVic fans didn't disappoint with the singing along. Despite the kawaida noise that is usually at the venue, mnajijua, I'd love to experience either a full band or half-live performance by AfricanVic. I'm also very drawn to the melodies in his music outside of his incredible vocal abilities, and would love to experience that aspect live. My current favorite from AfricanVic is Maua featuring Afropatra, but the fan favorite must be Pan Away. Shad Muziki was the next on stage, and he started off with Safari, which is a collaboration with Watendawili. He was playing the acoustic guitar and had an MD on keys and tracks. My current favorite Shad Muziki song is Truth or Dare, that usually features Brandy Minor. But I think the fan favorites are Sherehe December and Wajweni Wewe, which usually features Costa Ojuang. These tiny news bits of mine that will be coming in between these event segments. But anyway, I think it's just the way my mind works. I go with time periods. So the way I'm reviewing the events are in the way that they occurred. Adele Onyango posted something that made a lot of sense, and it said, "Do not post artwork celebrating women when your company doesn't have policies that are committed to women's safety, dignity, and rights. Artwork means nothing when your organization has a massive pay gap issue, sexual harassment, no policies around menstruation or menopause, no nursing rooms, inadequate representation of women in decision-making roles, etc. Address these issues instead of giving your female employees roses or chocolates." Yatafakari ya Adele. Something else to note that also happened within this time period. Spotify posted that they were celebrating 5 years in Kenya. And the most streamed artists in Kenya in the last 5 years, all of them will shock you. We have Drake, Chris Brown, Future, Burna Boy, and Travis Scott. I mean, people have been saying it's because it's the accumulative statistics, and everyone has acknowledged that there has been a surge of Kenyan music consumption in the last 1 or 2 years, which is a good thing. But it got me thinking, how come that this is what people are actually drawn to? And I remembered growing up, we used to listen to radio, and there was very little Kenyan music that would play in a lot of the shows. I think that would be a factor that influences people's music tastes as they grew up. And then also, this can tell you the demographic of the Spotify consumers. But I think in Kenya, YouTube is a better representation of the consumer culture, basically. Also, I saw somebody highlight that the Spotify influencers who are given hampers have nothing to do with Spotify. Hilarious, hilarious, very funny. Spotify, mmeambiwa mtumie wasanii hampers. Hata sisi mtutumie hampers. Tunatumianga Spotify sana. On 23rd February, I received an invite to the Hekaya AP listening and release party by Watendawili that was going to happen on the 25th of February at the 1 p.m. offices. Just allow me to read out some parts of the invite because it was really cute. It says, "You are invited." And then it says, "Hi, friend. You have been a part of our story, and now we invite you to celebrate with us. We are hosting an exclusive release and listening party for our new project, Hekaya. This is not just a party, it is a dedicated session to sit with the music, hear the narratives, and celebrate the journey from fun story to finished sound." And then it gave out the details, the date, doors open at 5, doors close at 7, and then the location. And then it says, "To ensure we can experience the full project together from first note to the last, we will start at 5 p.m. and end at 9 p.m. Please arrive on time so you don't miss a chapter. This is an invite-only event. Please confirm your place in the room by end of day." That was on Tuesday, the 24th. What they've said here is important for what I'm going to highlight in a bit. Since the project dropped on the same day, that was on the 25th, it made more sense it being more of a release party, but still it kind of had elements of a listening party. Nikipanda stairs kwenda 1 p.m., the first person I see past the checkpoint is Sharon from Nairobi Fiesta. I was so happy to see a familiar face and also happy to see her because it had been a minute. At the lobby, at this point, kama umesikiza episode 29, you have a visual image of the 1 p.m. offices. At the lobby, there were snacks and cocktails on the house. Oh yeah, Sound City Radio were hosting us this time. The cocktails and food were by Triple S, shout out Simba. I arrived at 6:30 p.m., so there was a bit of quorum. Kuingia into the main room, this time kulikuwa na haystacks on the floor, and at the front kabisa kulikuwa na carpets na 2 pillows, which was more sitting space for people. The designated stage area had a coastal themed stage design done by Ireri, and it matched what we later discovered were intentional thematic influences on the EP. On the far right side, on the stage area, was Keys, where Lucas was stationed, and for the left side, they had Jeff Amithi stationed, where he would play bass. We found them doing line check. Behind them, on what is usually large windows to a balcony, they had lessons hanging as the background, then flowers all around part of the decor. Katikati ya the designated stage area, there were 2 high seats and mics, which were set up for the duo. Our host for the night was Ray Kiragu from Sound City Radio. We sat at the front, of course, for the best views and sound experience. The room was full with media personalities, influencers, Kenyan music enthusiasts, 1 p.m. team, among many other people. Also, a lot of artists were in attendance.
Watendawili sophomore project, the EP called Hekaya, live at 1 p.m. studios. Ladies and gentlemen, this are Watendawili.
Ray introduced Watendawili and they walked in from the balcony that was behind the stage area. Now that was a first. They were wearing kanzus, which again aligns with the coastal influences within the EP. I'll have you guys listen in, but they later inform us that they recorded the whole EP at the coast when they went to shoot the Ausnya Mombasa music video that you guys can go and check out on YouTube. They then sat on their stools, wakatusalimia kama kawaida, woza.
Woza, guys.
So the project was already out, but I hadn't listened to it. They chose an interesting format. They would have us listen to the tracks, then afterwards perform the songs from the Hekaya EP, either with just Lucas on keys and tracks or with Lucas and Jeff Hamisi on the bass guitar. Their choice of setlist was also different. We didn't listen to the tracks in the order with which they are on the EP. It was Ngaenda, Naogelea, Ex Wangu, Mafrumbanya, Lavender, then Tumia Pesa. 1RPM provided us with nice tiny booklets that have the art at the front, and then inside the layout was like a book's layout. I'm gonna read the first few pages of this book. When you open it, the first page reads Hekaya, a collection of short stories as told by our fans, written and performed by Watendawili. Then copyright of Watendawili Entertainment 2026, all rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced. Nairobi, Kenya, first edition. Third page, dedication. For the volume of your love, loud, alo. Ongeza woza. Hiyo haiko kwa kitabu. Please. For the vulnerability of your stories, for the honor of being the ones to tell them. This is for you, Woza Gang. Oh, that's so cute. Epigraph. Yote yatapita, no matter how long. Vita tutashinda, and we'll make it back home. This is part of the lyrics za Gaienda. Next page, table of contents. Then it's the different songs. Tumia Pesa, Lavender featuring Honsphere, Naogelea, Gaienda, Ex Wangu, then Mafrumbanya. Oh, there's more. Preface. Every so often, our fans reach out to express their love for our music. You've told us how a melody met you in a quiet hour, or how a lyric helped you navigate a season you weren't sure you'd survive. Hekaya is a collection of those very moments, real stories shared with us by you and curated with the deepest respect and consent. These songs are sad, fun, funny, and perhaps even uncomfortably familiar for some. That is because we are all living the same story in different fonts. Hekaya is a fun project. Fun is F-A-N. Yani nyinyi, mafan. In its purest form. We took the stories you gave us and scored them with the sounds you told us you wanted to hear from us. But we didn't just want to mirror your struggles. We wanted to offer a way through them. We dedicate the track Guy Enda specifically to you. It is our way of reminding you and ourselves it shall pass. There is victory waiting on the other side of endurance. It is a song for the resilience it takes to try again every single day. We heard you, we felt you, we hope we have delivered. Oh, vijana wako deep. Aya. The last page I'm going to read because the rest are just the lyrics of the songs. Acknowledgements. To our brother, Run. Run is the producer, by the way. Whose vision and production shaped the heartbeat of this project. To Trevor Magak and Hendrik Sam for their meticulous hands in the mixing and mastering of these sounds. Our deepest gratitude to Karume and Jeff Hamisi for the soul in the guitars and bass, and to Zawadi, Zalali, and Clark King for the incredible life they breathed into the vocals. To PJ, Renee, and Farid, thank you for helping us execute the visual identity we imagined for this project. Finally, a special thank you to Honsphere for their collaboration and for providing the brass textures that define Lavender. Waandishi hao. Waandishi hodari jamini. Onyach called it their golden bells. Oh, now I have bad news. Unfortunately, during the listening and worse, during the question and answer session that came afterwards, watu walikuwa wanapiga kelele. I'll just continue saying, wow, can't believe this. Let's care enough about the music. Let's care enough about the stories behind them for us to respectfully stay silent, especially during the explanations and the stories behind the music. I won't dwell there because we spoke on it on the previous episode. Let's change for the better and respect these spaces, the artists and their music.
So, since was happening, I'm sure you guys by now you know that. But for this song, it's a little show. And we're really grateful for the fact that we've come this far. And we're grateful for you guys. And sometimes, being alive is tough. Being human is tough. Sometimes you don't feel like pushing, sometimes you feel exhausted. But Gaeda is that one song that made us realize we can give other people the same motivation we get from music. So, today if today was difficult, don't worry, tomorrow will be, maybe tomorrow will be difficult as well, but trust me, God is there, so just keep pushing.
By the way, if you don't have a booklet, 1 RPM wants you to just like raise your hand. Someone will bring a booklet to you, so you can also follow along with the lyrics, understand the journey. We appreciate them so much, don't we? And I think we're gonna have a small break, maybe take 3, 4 questions. I've got the first one. I just want to ask, what other than terrible advice that you have just given us on Kirudie Exiwechu, there's a bit of rap in there as well. Can we anticipate more of you rapping in the future?
Of course.
Any questions in the house? Anyone that wants to ask a question? Yes? Okay.
Hi, my name is Muche. My question is...
First of all, everybody give it up for me. He's a music analyst.
Yes!
Thank you. From En Route, the last song on En Route is Hadi Kesho. You spoke about Mungu Nisamehe, ilikuwa ninge church kesho. And right now, this first song you've played is Gaineda. What is the thread of spirituality and God in your music, specifically in those two songs? And right now we see more of Israel taking the lead. What is the decision behind that? What is the decision behind that? And how does it interplay with how you write songs and approach songs now? Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, story church, children of Mungu. So we both have an SDA background.
Hello.
And you know SDA about being strict. I have to say, after high school for me, that's when I stopped going to church on Saturday. It was a really how can I put it? It was a weird conversation with my mom. I didn't do it for like take a Sunday church anymore. It was more, I'm not going on this Saturday because I have rehearsal or something. Then at some point I just got dreads. I just think I'm foolproof and they wouldn't church anymore. So for a long time, mom was like, "You're not going to Muziki? So in the gospel. You're going to sing this in the gospel." But I was telling my mom.
One meeting, if we can maybe have one meeting, ladies and gentlemen.
Backbenchers. Oh yeah. Wejema.
Matinda manzia sina mbele ya pigo.
Tutulia hapo Bakmanyo. Mtoto wetu, calm down. Safi. Asante.
Very nice. Yeah, man. So, for our relationship with God is, we believe in God. Before we go on stage, we pray before we go on stage. And we don't take the gifts we have for granted. So, before anything else, we always make sure that's put out there. And as much as we are singing secular, we do our best to make sure people know that God is real to us.
Yeah, man. Hata hiyo line ya Mungu nisamehe ilikuwa ningia church kesho. Ili ni hunt. Wallahi ili ni hunt. Nilikuwa najua nimeamasina na nitakashifiwa, lakini sasa watu wa church wanaipenda sana ile line. Watu wa church ndio wanakuja na niambia, "Thank you for that line." Sasa tukiwa tupoa.
Tuko wengi kweli, for sure. I don't know if you will still need to answer the rest of the question.
He has one last question, yeah? Verse, yeah? Silio. I think En Route, because En Route took a long time to make. So pia kuna mangoma mob zenye kuingia En Route. Na inaweza kuwa usually thank you so much. Usually bombo andika haraka sana, unajua. So naandika haraka hiyo time kwanza before group dynamics haikuwa as tight as sai. Unaona sai communication yetu imeget better. So hata naweza andika Onyash tumsikie tutulie. So tunaenda tu tukiimprove. Yani Watendawili inaenda get stronger yani. Inakuwa more the yin and yang inaenda ikishikana kabisa as compared to Enrut.
Appreciate that.
Ngoma noma sana. Asante, tutarudia kweli.
Aka nika special.
Ameze Brooklyn.
Ni aje wa jamaa lakini
Poa manzi.
uko fiti? Mimi nauliza hii ngoma ya ex wangu. Kwa nyinyi wawili. Nani alikuwa inspired kuandikia ex wake?
Hello.
Ongeza ni kuona
Mimi ukiniuliza mimi naona ni mrasta.
Hello.
Mrasta anapanga kurudia ex wake.
Yako happy.
Cheki, nataka tu kujua inspiration ya ngoma twangu.
But see, these are stories from the friends, from the fans.
Anyway, so hiyo song vile unajua Hekaya is a story that fans wetu wametuambia. Unaona? It's a get lonely sometimes.
All right, we have one more question here.
Hi, my name is Jackie. Hi. I can't hear sometimes with the lower songs, but I can hear when you use Kikuyu words. Where does that come from? Who is, none of you is Kikuyu if I'm not sure.
Watendawili.
Watendawili in the building. We'll listen to the next 3 songs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a listening party courtesy of 1RPM in South City. Just to show you that radio isn't just about singles, it's about projects. If you're an artist, holla at South City, Kenya, okay? My name is Ricky Watendawili. The next 3 songs.
I wish this could last forever. We love you people. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. In it was Tumia Pesa. 3 years ago we sang a song called Mania Pesa, which directly translates to Kutafuta Do, Kutafuta Pesa. So, Mungu ametujalia tuko na 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 sahi tunataka kutumia pesa. So this song goes out to every single person. As you work hard, you deserve the cash you get. You deserve happiness, you deserve spoiling yourself. 2026 is the year of blessings. Let me see your golden bells in the air. Let me see your golden bells. Rosa! Rosa! So you go sing it against that and to hear Sasa.
Niggas!
For housing in Mombasa, we decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And we wrote the whole project in a time. So the whole song was written, mixed, or rather written, recorded, and produced close to the beach. So when I did the cover art, and I have to say, man, you have to. Bro, if you have something to say about it, this is your time.
One meeting, guys. This is an exclusive listening party. This is one in a million.
I'm usually behind the scenes as a graphic designer, but it's sick having like pre-releases on your computer and you listen to them for like 6 hours a day drawing, and I vibe with it the whole time. I hope we capture the vibe. Thank you so much.
All right. And by the way, Israel has talked about the song House Near Mombasa. By the way, the model in the video is also with us. Her name is Lovejoy. I don't know if she can do a quick stand up. Like I said, it takes a village. Questions. This is Joy Ogwethi from The Takeover. Joy, what's your question?
First of all, congratulations on this project. I mean, it's not a small thing to have a project as a musician out there. So congratulations so much. I mean, we've been waiting for music. Watendawili. Big ups. My question, you just talked about how you did the whole project in Watamu. How long were you guys in Watamu? And also, are there any songs from this project? I mean, some of y'all are busy. Are there any songs from this project that like challenge you a bit? Do you have to like change anything after like you've already finished the whole draft? And then also like your creative process. In this project, did you write first or did you listen to the music first? Those are my questions.
Joy, you have such a radio voice, man. That is Joy. I think I'll answer the one I remember. First, say 4 questions. How long were we in town for? 4 days. We went there on Sunday and we came back on Thursday. Yeah. 4 days, give or take.
Yeah, I think the song that challenged us was Mafrombanya. Because we were just looking at the beach and then we're telling each other, okay, we don't have a song about, and then we changed the song like twice, changed the key, tempo. Yeah, so that was the most challenging song in the project. Yeah.
All right, again, if you have a question, I think
I think we haven't answered one question.
Sure.
Because you worked with Ron as a producer, did he send you the music first, or did you have to like write the music first and then now listen?
We did everything. Like day one, Ron is producing as we are writing. Yeah, so we finished the whole project in 4 days. Yeah.
So have you heard the music?
No, we were just making it on the spot. Yeah.
Lisa, what was the challenge in like Lisa beat execution?
Hi. I'm shy.
Ongeza Volume.
Okay. My name is Abigail Diana of Ongeza Volume, and I have.
Everybody give it up for Abby!
No blush. Anyway, so there was a recent observation, especially in 2025, that Watendawili were doing a lot of collaborations, and there was a surge of music, but there was no Watendawili music, So was that what inspired the timing? Because I always say I love the timings where you release a project way earlier on in the year. So is that what inspired the timing of the release? That's question number 1. Question number 2, Sharon here of Kayrop Fiesta. Yes, it's her. Yeah, she's asking, were there challenges where you said you're given the beat first by Ran and then you will write, or you wrote first and then, yeah, so what challenges were there with the procedure of you guys writing and then Ran fixing into it? Yeah. And also, third question, are you guys planning a live show for us ama mnataka tuwaeke?
Like that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abby. Last year we did a lot of collaborations, and the people who we did collabos with are here. Shout out to Vijana Barubaru in the house. Yeah, we did a lot of collaborations. I think, and we're just performing en route, but we knew for sure, because we always listen to our fans, we always listen to them, and every other time they'd be like, where's new music, where's the new music? So we knew we didn't want to keep the fans waiting a whole other year and then dropping songs at the end of the year. So that's why we chose to do a very early release.
Yeah.
We'll answer that in a few.
As for the challenges with creating the music, fortunately enough for us, we end up writing with the producers. Yeah, it's never like tunatoka and we go away, we get the beat. Oh, charisma! Charisma! Everybody get up for charisma! Instead of that, please. So anyway, we're fortunate enough, we work hand in hand with the producers, so it's never, we separate ourselves from them. So with Ran, it was the same thing. We were writing with him there. He gave us ideas sometimes for the songs, and sometimes we started ideas. So it was always flowing.
All right, we've got about 3 more questions.
There's gonna be a show. Definitely gonna be a Hekaya concert, and the theme for the ladies will be backless dares. So let's start.
Backless dares.
So tuanze mapema.
Was a nation clearly. All right, 3 more questions. Abigail's got one.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Abby from Nairobi. And I really love this so much. And my personal favorite is Ongeza. And I just wanted to ask the thought process behind writing Ongeza and just even coming up with the lyrics and everything. Because I don't want to assume it's just another love song, yeah? So I want to know the process behind it.
So his song Kondika it wasn't that quick. We normally finish songs in less than an hour in terms of writing. If they say song myself, they say song, but yeah, thank God. So for Ongeza, it was differentiation integration. It took a second. We started looking for chorus, the la 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 la. We did the la 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 part first, but then it didn't sound like the chorus. It sounded like it hung. It sounded like it was hanging. So Ongeza came after. And for my verse, I remember it was the very last part. It wasn't there. It was just jumping from the before part immediately to the chorus. So we wrote it and we went to sleep. But then I remember you were telling me the next day, bro, hey, this song it doesn't bang still. So it took a second. I'm grateful it is your favorite. Thank you, Abby.
All right, man. Love that. Great questions. I think it says a lot that Watendawili always attracts people who are very intentional with listening to the lyrics and listening to the message of a song. We've got 2 more questions, maybe.
What do you want fans to live with? Mi napenda hope. I feel like hope is the one thing that makes people wake up every single morning. People who don't feel anything, there's anything to look forward to. Life will be tough. Life is a tough. Life is a tough. A simple name of hope is reason enough for someone to come back to listen to your music. Na nakumbuka more often than not tumepata na wasee akituambia manzee muziki yenyewe imechange life yangu. I remember immediately after we released Mami Pesa, I'd say maybe 3 months after, nilikuwa naambiwa na beshte yangu mwenye alikuwa na own workshop hiyo time. She told me that every single morning when she goes to her workshop, mafundi, the people who work for her, wanasenga Mami Pesa. Wanasenga Mami Pesa before the job, man. Yeah, kitu ilipata goosebumps, bro. I mean, yo, mzee kama mako kabla the job. Anyway. So, yeah, man, hope is one thing. After from Banyapia, playfulness, life is serious, but it's serious. Just have fun and at it.
Thank you. We uploaded snippets of the performances on the Ongeza Volume YouTube channel, so you can go and check them out there. At the end of the last performance, Watendawili called on everyone who was involved in bringing the project together. Wangeshi, who's the manager, Ran, who's the producer, Ted, who did the visuals for the writing camp in the coast, Honsphere, who did now the horns. When we thought the session was over, they played us snippets of unreleased music on their upcoming album that will be dropping later on this year, hopefully. This was good. Na nawaambianga kama wa kawaida, utamu wa live shows ni nini? Utamu wa live shows ni unreleased. Now imagine, Aibu, Uaya had to prefect up and shush people. That was so wild. Well, anyway.
So guys, yeah, we thought, guys, whoever's talking, please, let me finish. So, whoever's talking, let me finish. Pale nyuma, whoever's talking, let me finish, and then you can continue. So guys, we thought, Run. Thank you. You know, we thought Manzembek was so kind to show up for us on a Wednesday, on a weekday,
Generally, that was a good experience, and you can go stream the Hekaya EP. Courtesy of Sharon from Nairobi Fiesta, we were able to attend the Kilele Summit that happens every single year. I have always wanted to attend this, lakini my schedule never allows it. As much as it was already ongoing, I am just glad to have had the opportunity to finally attend. Hata kama ilikuwa siku moja. I attended on 27th February, which was the Friday. Now, before I even go on, I want to tell you guys about the Kilele Summit. Like, what exactly is Kilele? Kilele is East Africa's first and only summit for music, tech, and culture, established to platform artists and collectives from the region working in diverse, underrepresented styles from the folkloric to the futuristic. Kilele mixes panels, presentations, and workshops with installations, showcases, and after parties over 6 thrilling days in the mall in Nairobi each February. Kilele is for everyone curious about what's happening on the fringes of the mainstream culture. That's just a summary of what exactly Kilele is, and it was happening from the 23rd to the 28th of February. I aimed to attend the Managers Forum, which was dubbed the role of talent managers in the industry. The discussion brought together experienced talent managers and industry experts to explore the evolving role of talent management in today's creative landscape. The conversation did delve into the future of talent management through innovation and evolution, examining how digital tools, branding, and global collaborations are reshaping the profession. Panelists did discuss navigating the music industry through trends, challenges, and opportunities, offering insights on how to adapt and thrive in an ever changing market. The session did focus on unlocking an artist's potential through strategies for success in artist development, providing actionable approaches for nurturing talent, building sustainable careers, and creating lasting impact in the entertainment industry. The panelists were Tessie Washira, Mrumbi, Faiza Hasi, and the moderator was Tella Wangeshi. Tella Wangeshi is a Kenyan music journalist, a DJ, a cultural curator, and a communications professional whose work operates at the crossroads of African music, media, and live culture. She is widely respected for her role in documenting, shaping, and amplifying Kenya's contemporary and underground music ecosystems, with particular emphasis on hip hop, alternative sounds, and emerging urban movements. I love Tella because I learned so many things from her, especially from the hip hop side. Now, the panelists: Tessie Washira is an event producer, a set designer, artist manager, A&R, and creative entrepreneur, and an advocate in training at the Kenya School of Law. She is the founder and CEO of Kenyanpick Entertainment Agency. And then Mrumbi is a Nairobi-based artist, manager, curator, and indie musician working at the intersection of live programming, artist development, and community-led experiences through platforms like Sasa Sasa and A Little More Indie. He has helped design and run intimate showcases, workshops, and cross-cultural collaborations that center emerging East African talent, sustainable careers, and audience building beyond the mainstream. Lastly, Faiza is a leading force in the evolution of African talent. She is a dynamic A&R executive and creative consultant. She has built a reputation for navigating the high-stakes intersection of culturally rooted artistry and global digital ecosystems. So that alone shows you how powerful this panel session was. Faiza outlined that we are actually the future.
This weekend we'll pay this much, but then you want to pay after 66 days? What are you doing? You want it like really urgently, and you know that this is going to be the make or break of your event, but you want to put it at the bottom of your priority list as far as you executing your side of the responsibility is concerned. On the other side of it is artists, and it's less now, but for a long time, artists allowing themselves this kind of treatment. So you find, for example, And I say this with all due respect because again, the artistry, it's growing. The industry now is not where it was 10 years ago. You find, for example, a band, you know these bands that sometimes play at like the two joints, and you'll find a band is playing 3, 4, 5 hours, no break, no food. It's a 5-piece band, they've been paid 10K. And they'll do it. They'll do it. And then tomorrow, when Faye comes to bring Zinia to perform there, and they quote X amount for an hour or 2 hours, those guys are like, nah, bro, the guys who were here yesterday played for X amount of time with this budget, we'll just call those guys again, you know. So you find that when you have majority of the artists undervaluing themselves and allowing themselves to be undervalued by others, it makes it very hard for there to be a collective stance where, for example, the corporates know if you want an artist, you need to have at least this amount of a budget. I can tell, hey, what? I have so much to say about this, but I'll try and... There was a time an educational institution approached me asking if I can link them to some artists to come and perform for some function they were having in school. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, what's the budget? They said, we currently don't have a budget. So I said, okay, what's the trade-off? Like, what are they getting out of it? So back and forth, they say, okay, we can do 3 Carrefour shopping vouchers or something like that. So I say, okay. Okay. So I pass the information to the artist. Of course, the artists are like, hey, what's that? But anyway, it's a shopping voucher. I'll take it. I go back. I tell them, okay, they've said it's okay. And then now the school changes and says, oh, actually, we consulted with finance and they said the shopping vouchers are for the invited guests, the guests that are coming to be entertained the vouchers are for the invited guests. We can give them a branded thermos. I said, you're out of your damn mind. Surely. And then now the excuse is, so you know these artists, you can talk to them nicely. So now even for the corporates, shame on you for assuming that we are the people to talk to because we know the artists. You can come to us and we can ask them to perform for a thermos. Like, what are we doing? You know, so it's things like that. It's, the thing you need the most, you prioritize the least as far as your input is concerned. So I think we're at a time where a lot of those things are now unacceptable, either because the artists have put a foot down and said no, or artist managers are like, not even having this conversation with you, honestly. So to more of what's already happening, but for the other artists, if there are artists in the room, kindly stand on your business, bro. Stand on your business. Because if at the end of the day, you're not going to establish any amount of value for yourself, if you don't consider your work a business or a profession or something that's worth paying for, I don't know who you expect to come and offer you money or benefits for something that you yourself are not trying to defend. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And, Ruby, do you think we're preparing artists for ownership or for dependency?
I think, just having spoken with the guys on this panel here, I think we are, but I think artists don't want that. I think it sounds nice, and maybe that's a bit rough to say, but someone who wants ownership takes charge. And you'll see this sometimes with artist management. It's where I like the whole idea of like, it's a magic wand. You're not got an artist manager now, so things are just going to work. It's like, no, now is when we double down. So there's only so much I can tell you about what you should like learn as an artist manager. It needs to come from within. I think what most people want right now is they want fame, they want money, they want some kind of recognition, and they are willing to sell their ownership if that means they can get that trade-off. I think ownership is a great thing. I think it extends your value. It allows your money to come in for longer. It might mean you make less money initially, but I think it's very much like investment. If you guys have studied investment or like done finance, the payout, because it compounds. But I don't think most artists already want it. And maybe that sounds, like I said, rough or harsh, but people would be doing better in the industry if they actually care about that. Oh, sorry, can I have my bad? However, we are on our side preparing artists for that in terms of with Sasa Sasa, which is again the company we started. What we are aiming to do is put an artist in the most independent position for them to earn and to make money, whether that's through music sales, through merch sales, or through monetizing their IP. So we are trying to put that in place. But again, if you look at the markets of Africa, just how fragmented we are, just the situation itself, I think it looks like an uphill task for a lot of creatives, and it is easier to sell to someone who's giving me a big enough check so that I can ignore that.
Sorry, I just got my phone out because there's something I actually, came across and I feel like it's really the definition of what a sovereign artist is, and that is the future of where we're heading, right? Because as you've noticed, traditionally artists used to be signed to labels before the streaming era, right? For that distribution, and it was physical distribution. It was actually printing out these CDs, vinyls, all sorts of things, right? So it was a heavy investment, if that makes sense. But in today's world, because it's digital, and we have like distribution options where we can keep our master ownership, we can keep our composition rights, right? Then that just, tells you, I mean, if you look at today's world where they're barely signing artists, guys, let me just tell you for free. Onto that, larger label systems, they're barely signing artists. Right now it's all about like, distributors, and you'll find like labels like, Sony operating through like the Orchard, to still handle their distribution for independent artists, right? And then you'll find even Apple Music now has Platoon, and 1RPM. There's so many of them, And now, I think the tables have turned, and the future is an independent artist, and not just an independent artist, but a sovereign artist. And I actually got the definition here for you guys so that I can just read this to you. I think it'll make more sense, right? And FYI, the person I was thinking about when I was reading this is Molly. And we'll get into that in a second. A sovereign artist is a creator who operates with full agency over their career, instead of waiting for a traditional gatekeeper who would be a major label or a legacy manager to provide them with a path. They instead use digital infrastructure to own their data, their IP, and their direct-to-fan relationships. They are digitally optimized, meaning they use the tools to automate the administrative heavy lifting so that they can remain independent longer. So, I mean, just off rip, we're talking Russ, right? Off rip, for an African, as an African example and a trending example, Molly. Everybody said no to Molly. Molly's a friend of mine, I'll tell you that for free. Everybody was saying no to her. 2023, early 24, we were talking about this. She was in Florida, and she was so mad because I guess she didn't understand the business of music, and all of a sudden she is uber famous because of that song she had with Amare and Kali Uchis, but she's not getting paid off the record other than from her publishing, right? And she's not understanding how this is happening, if that makes sense. She's now depressed, she's going to hide in Florida. And I remember talking to her and just being like, bro, you do realize that song's popping because of your sound, right? You know you can recreate it over and over and over again. And as you can see, she just stuck to that sound, right? And she recreated it over and over and over again. Right now, all the labels are knocking at her door. Everybody's knocking at her door. The publishers, the distributors, the labels, everybody's knocking at her door. Now, what's gonna set her apart is her sticking to her independence. Once she falls into that trap, hey, who knows where it's all going? You know what I mean? But again, another example, a successful example is Central C, right? Central C, same thing, kind of like was independent. Him and his manager were doing their own thing. First offer came in $250,000. They said no, because they were kind of making that kind of money anyway. It didn't make sense. Second offer came in $500,000. They said no, because again, the label needed them. They didn't need it, right? And so I say all that to say, I think the future kind of artist that we'll see really taking over is the sovereign artist, the artist that owns their IP. And so I think ownership is important, but also understanding the value of what you're creating, right? Before you rush into expecting brand deals, expecting shows, expecting all these things, right? Who are you? Do you have a brand identity? Do you have a sonic identity? Now, having identity is great, guys, but that's not where it ends, right? You have this identity, and then where does it go, right? Are you opening up the doors now for other artists coming up behind you, who are now inspired by what you're doing because you're breaking barriers, you're breaking rules? It depends on what you're doing. Like, what are you actually doing? You know what I mean? You can create, but what is the impact? What is the legacy that you're leaving behind, right? And I think, to just cut the long story short, know yourself, right? Being independent and knowing yourself is a massive superpower. It's a massive superpower. These labels, by the way, what they dangle in front of you, if you don't know, is label services, right? Label services is artist services. So they'll tell you, oh, we'll give you like a 7-man team. You have 7 people on your team. This person takes care of this. This person will take care of your relationship with Spotify. This person will take care of your relationship with this. This person will do that. This person, my God, what they're not telling you is that you're paying all these people, by the way. And all these people work in their office, and they're just giving you 1 hour a week. And they're giving the rest of their time to all the other artists that they got. And what you're doing is building their business. That's literally what it is, you know? And that's the main trap that people fall into. Then at that point as an artist, that's when you're thinking, this manager of mine couldn't even do all this for me. Okay, pay all these guys now. Do your thing. You'll find yourself stuck in there. But the reality is, guys, that's the future. Don't be signing deals. That's it.
What she said. I think the only thing that I would say, which is similar to what she said, is, hey, I don't know if artists know the value of what they produce. I don't know if artists know the value of their music, because to be signed to just any label, it's the equivalent of letting strangers in your house. If you think about it, I don't know these people. You could be a thief. You could be a lot of crazy things. And I've just let you in my house, and now you're either in my house for 5 years, 10 years.
Sorry, it's just worse. Sorry, it's worse, because in that house, at least you can count the assets in there, right? You know, this is what I have. If they have stolen, it's what I have here, right? With a label, my God, how many unreleased tracks do you have that they now own? It can be like 3-4 years of your life that you're now watching, and they're just holding it like this. Sorry.
Crazy. What she said.
They're
stealing in advance in your house after clearing what you have, and then they clear what you don't even have yet, which I think is crazy. And I think, again, if you know the value of your work, you're not gonna be letting random people in your house, you know. But I think something that I've noticed is right now with a good number of artists, maybe not all of them, but you find that even those who are signing deals. Right now, it's so important. Like artists, some of them have woken up now. So some of them are signing deals, but you're signing a deal and that doesn't mean you're throwing away your manager that you've grown with for X number of years. It's me and my manager who have built this career up to this point. And so going forward, is there any gap that you guys can come in and feel that we weren't already doing ourselves? Because we already have this ship running. So any role that a label should be coming in to offer is things that you completely cannot do for yourself right now or in the foreseeable future that you can necessity. You know, if they come and they offer you $20K, don't get excited and be like, oh my God, it's $20K that I don't have right now in this amount of time. What do you really need $20K for? As far as XYZ is concerned, you get. So yeah, I think it's important to just already have your systems up. I think if an artist is being signed and they, as we said earlier in this conversation, you've just started, you've released your first song today and tomorrow you're signed to a label, you're cooked.
Those were some really insightful conversations. Immediately after that, at the same location at Santuri, they had Hadithi Hangout Presents 10 Cities that was facilitated by Furaha. After 15 successful editions exploring Kenyan music history, Hadithi Hangout joined Kilele Summit with a special edition. The session celebrated 10 years of 10 Cities, which is a book that documents music cultures from 10 cities around the world, including Nairobi. We did enjoy select readings tracing the evolution of Kenyan music from the 1960s to date. Something small about Furaha: she's an award-winning Kenyan music journalist, an event host, and a DJ entranced by African culture. She has spent 7+ years documenting the music scene through her platform La Music Junkie, from covering East Africa's biggest festival to interviewing alternative African artists. I think this was my favorite session. It was quite insightful and mind-blowing. I was informed that it happens every month, and I'm looking forward to attending other sessions. The book would be passed around and everyone would read a paragraph from the book. Furaha got to dive deep into the similarities of the music scene in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to the current scene, genres, artistry, and event and clubbing scene.
That's talking now about like the influence of Congolese music in Kenya, which many people refer to as rumba. No, but yeah, it is actually rumba, but most people call it Lingala. But Lingala is the language. It's like saying Swahili music or English music. But the actual sound from Congo, the dominant sound, of course they have many sounds, is rumba. So over as much as we were making music, a lot of Congolese music was also coming to Kenya. A lot of Congolese musicians came to Kenya and even moved here. You know, you hear the orchestra Mangele Pa, and so many other bands came, Baba Gaston, they came to record here, some of them stayed. So Congolese music also had a huge influence on Kenyan music. And even now, if you go to, is it South C? I'm in South B, Nairobi West. Yes. A lot of Congolese bands are still playing, Sindio. So they made Kenya their home. So that's basically that. Hussein Obama Sr. was a party animal. Yeah, the Starlight Club was one of the biggest clubs. It was actually at where Integrity Center is right now. Anyone who knows Integrity Center? Yeah, the Kenyans, you should know. But that's where the Starlight Club was, yeah.
Hi, my name is Bashu.
Is a very famous classic Kenyan song, also by Daudi. I think we're gonna sing the chorus.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah. So if you know it, sing along. Musa nimevumilia sana, Musa nimevumilia sana, kupigwa kama mimi konda, na sura yangu imeharibika, na za kila siku Musa tabu 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 karaoke version. So for the full version. So let's continue. Right. So yeah, that's about the boogies. Who knows what the boogies are? Who has an idea? They sound fun. With the bump, yeah. Any guess what the boogies were? Don't have to get it right. Okay, so the boogies were afternoon parties that used to happen back in the 70s, and they were mostly for teenagers because teenagers are not allowed in nightclubs, like the Starlight. So there were afternoon parties and live bands would play, especially funk, because funk was a big sound in the 70s. You've heard about an artist such as Kelly Brown, there was Steel Buta, there was Faisal Brown, echoing James Brown, the godfather of soul. So basically boogies were that time for youngins to just go funk music. I won't spoil, there's what happened to boogies hapo mbele. But yeah, funk was a big sound, and actually our previous Hadithi Hangout was all about funk, and yeah, we had a nice funk party, like music from the 70s. There's this one song that really finishes me called Fever, by, tell us who it's by, it's on that page. No, not Fela Kuti, but Fela Kuti, we used to listen to him. Could you see Fever, the previous, who sang Fever? Also, Lily, could you give me Fever by that guy? You could give Bella, maybe Bella will. Ishmael Jingo. Exactly. Fever is by Ishmael Jingo. And why this song is so special is because it fuses funk with chakacha, and chakacha is a sound from the coast.
Absolutely, let's go.
Yes, please ask.
Ishmael.
So Ishmael, Ishmael, Jingo. Jingo is Jingo. You got it? Nice. So that's just what Kenyan funk sounded like in the 70s. Fusion. You had that fusion? It's not just pure funk, it has that chakacha sound, it has the horns, it has, was that like a whistle sound? So yeah, we were boogieing, man, we were boogieing. Yeah, at least our ancestors.
But was an administrative fiat going to succeed where persistent lyrical cautioning had evidently already. In 1966, with the song Johi Ndiri Mwarimu, Gikuyu for alcohol is no teacher, a cynical take on alcohol abuse. 3 years later, Kamaru hit the big time with Ndari ya Mwarimu, Teacher's Darling, sung yet again from a female perspective. The song condemns a teacher who takes advantage of his pupil, a young girl, in more ways than one. Ndari ya Mwarimu remained at the top of the charts for 3 months in a row. Kamaru continued to lobby through the song for the preservation of traditional values and rights. Although, ironically, innovations in his own music reflected culture as a dynamic hybrid. Kamaru was not to be the only one to take on the role of social commentator. Others were to follow his example by being exponents of music that provoked people not only to dance, but also to think.
Thank you, Hannah. So we're going to end there because this Hadith is not 3 hours long, like usual. But at least the reading part. Yeah. Oasis, do you wanna read that Kamaru's song titles in your accent?
Let me try. Njohi ndiri mwalimu.
Johi
Dere mwalimu. Alcohol is no teacher.
Yeah.
Ndari ya mwalimu.
Yes.
Teacher's darling.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was those two. So, I mean, first of all, boo to the boogies being boo. Yeah, it kind of reminds you of Gengeton and how there was also this fight against Gengeton because it was seen as immoral, but long live Gengeton.
Yes.
And then now bringing in terms of morality. Again, I mean, of course, again, morality was affected by colonization and westernization, especially after independence. And Joseph Kamaru had these two songs. The first one, Johi Dere Mwarimbo, means Johi is alcohol, so alcohol is not a teacher. So it's basically talking about alcohol abuse. And the second one, Dare ya Mwarimo, literally translates to the darling of the teacher. So in this song, Kamaru is singing like a young girl, and how she's just complaining how complaining to the teacher that why are you giving me many marks even though I didn't do well in class? Why are you calling me to your house after school? So it was trying to show how also now teachers are becoming predators in their own schools. Social commentary. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything and everything we have read. What do you relate with the most in terms of the scene and the sounds of Kenya in the 60s and 70s? And yeah, speaking of Joseph Kamaru, Kikuyu Benga legend. Kikuyu Benga legend, who is celebrated for singing about social commentary, also political stuff. There's a time he was friends with Kenyatta, and then he sang about how JM Karaoke died and then they became enemies. Yeah. And then there's also a time he was friends with Moi. I don't know what happened to that relationship, but yeah, he's been in the scene for a long time, and he also has played a role in bringing culture back, singing Mau Mau songs, singing songs that were sung even before colonial times. So he's also done versions of those songs. So he's very celebrated. And luckily his grandson Kamaru, who I'm sure a lot of you know, who is based in Berlin, has done a compilation album of Kamaru's some of Kamaru's best hits. So the album is called, anyone who will tell me? No? It's called Heavy Combination, and it's YouTube, Bandcamp. I don't mention those other platforms because I don't use them. Yeah, so it's on Bandcamp. And even there's a vinyl version of that album. I think it's about 19 tracks. So you get to hear Kamaru's different sounds, whether it's benga. He's also done funk, by the way. Kamaru has Kikuyu funk music, a lot of folk songs in that album. I also had one song that sounded like country. Like, I'm telling you, our musicians used to experiment. Just the same way now you hear our musicians are experimenting with different sounds, beat reggae, hip hop, dancehall, what. But they always found a way to keep it Kenyan, whether it's through the language or through an instrument or through just the rhythm in the music. So yeah, Heavy Combination, go look that up.
We got to hear some of the music mentioned in the book, and oh my God, everything about this session felt so good. Afterwards, we had conversations, and I was taken through the various sections of the summit. The alley to the Creatives Garage had a section with an area that read, "How do we preserve memory amidst archival erasure?" Sorry. I just remembered an inside joke. There are living memories within each of us. Memory requires activation if our memory is rarely recalled. How do we preserve memory amidst archival erasure? There are living memories within each of us. Memory requires activation. If a memory is rarely recalled, its corresponding synapses will slowly weaken and eventually cause the memory to disappear. We invite you to transmit a memory of yours and in doing so, shape collective memory. What memory do you wish to pass on? There were some film cards and a marker pen you'd write on. I did. People had used pins to hang theirs. On the wall, there was a structure that was set up to do that. We passed through an exhibition which was titled Sonic Commons. The brief description that was given for Sonic Commons was where listening becomes a collective practice of being with one another. In this here place, a shared relational field of sound emerges, where we continue to produce, negotiate, and imagine a collective life, knowledge, and responsibility, where frequencies linger, where sound waves demand an in-between, where vibrations move through bodies, architecture, air, memory, archives to create common ground. And it was curated by Sophia, Raphael Karaoke, E.N. Mirembe, and Rosie Olang Odhiambo. Around this same area, there were designated areas called the care rooms, where whenever you would feel overwhelmed, tired, or scared, you could go chill there. And there were care team members all over the place just trying to put out that information that the care rooms are there for the people. We then headed over to the Instrument Makers Lab, where participants would present what they have worked on throughout the 2 weeks at the Instrument Makers Lab. And it was interesting to see the creations that were done there, such unorthodox ways. It's interesting to see how people have beautiful minds out here. We then headed over to the rooftop where Youth was performing a DJ set. Youth is a visionary producer, musician, and sonic architect whose career has shaped both global pop culture and the outer edges of the underground music for over 30 years. Rising from the confrontational intensity of post-punk pioneers Killing Joke, Youth went on to co-found The Orb, helping define the language of ambient, dub, and acid house while soundtracking the evolution of electronic music culture. We also experienced Pwani Tapes residency, which is a co-creation project between Santuri East Africa and Pwani Tapes, where they are amplifying and remixing Kenyan coastal music heritage. They brought together coastal musical lineages and contemporary dance floor energy, and the performance united Hamisi Mrezi, who practices spans marimba, handmade percussions, and embodied rhythm, and Mazera, who's a Mwanzele singer from Tsunza. I hope I'm saying that right. And a Nairobi-based producer, DJ Hotkeys. I got to meet so many wonderful creatives. I met Busy Bingi and discovered calotropist.xyz. Busy Bingi is a Nairobi-based poet and a DJ. He is also the host of The Clearing, which is a radio show on calotropist.xyz that broadcasts live from the mist. Let me tell you, I discovered Calotropist and my life has never been the same. Yo, how did I not know that this existed? I am so glad I went to Kilele, guys. He has curated exhibitions as part of the now defunct collective Nigeographia. His poems and essays have been published in Kwani, Johannesburg Review Books, Down River Road, and Jalada Review. The Clearing started as a reading series at the end of 2019, inspired by the sermon on the clearing by Baby Sags in Toni Morrison's Beloved. It was revived as a broader gathering, taking the form of Nautonomat, a spaceship of the imagination, bringing together music, reading, performance, and a sense of community. The spaceship is currently steered by Busy Bingi and Moike. He got to tell me a lot more about the clearing, and I found it quite interesting.
There's a scene called The Salmon in the Clearing, and there's someone called Baby Shugs. The clearing was a tradition of enslaved people meeting in what were called hash harbors in places away from the central of where enslavement is happening. And you know the idea of clearing. Huku ni Babylon. So what if we create our own space within Babylon? Yenye Babylon ayoni, lakini iko na the power to seep into the structure to weaken it. We're not trying to rush things, we're taking things slow. And so from the literary perspective, so we use poetry a lot. Poetry as a catalyst of the imagination, as a way of building imagination, but also sound in our music, because you know the first thing, that's ancestral technology tumekuwa nayo for so long. Now, katika kumake, history is not something that happens. History is something that is made. We are active agents in the making of history. So what are we making of the history of Nairobi at the present moment? How are we archiving that?
These are my people, man. These are my people, man.
So archiving, building on that.
We were talking about, like today for me has just been about archiving. Like to realize importance yeah archiving in the moments that we are in right now.
But also like digging into archives that hazikuchukuliwa deemed important enough to be kept and sustained, because kuna vitu mob zime slip through, and what happens in that situation is there's a lack of intergenerational conversation. So inakaga ni kama one group starts in a deep, inaanza tena, and it's just like, how the fuck are we going to sustain?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier for our session.
Yeah.
Most of our scenes inakuanga hivyo.
Yeah.
Kama what's currently happening seems to be the first and the only thing. Then the next thing will also be evil in isolation. Bila kuwa na hizo linkages through generation because of tunasema. Yes. Na hiyo continuity.
I think that's we need to grow and understand how that ecosystem builds in. Also, we have silos we work in. Wase visuals, wana work in visuals. Wase literary, wana work. But if hizi skills zote zina come through, so our music ata work na lyrics za poet flani, amake ngoma, umse wa visuals ata work na hiyo ngoma, amake painting. We are feeding off each other, but are we meeting? And I think so clearing imekuwa ni a space for like, let's collapse and bring all these things together. The power of radio as a revolutionary tool to have also political education, civic education. from how do we build ourselves up. We build ourselves up strong, like we have a strong foundation.
I spent time with Labdi, who has just sold out her show, by the way. Congratulations. Roger, who has one of the best executed poetry experiences dubbed Midnight Musings, that is live on YouTube. Please do find the link in this podcast's description, and go and watch that experience by Roger on YouTube. We also spent time with Muriel Page, who is a renowned musician, among so many other many creatives that I got to meet in person. It was so lovely seeing everyone, having conversations. They were quite life-changing conversations, honestly, if you ask me. Kilele was one of the books for me. We later headed to the Mist and experienced an algorithm. Bro, what? They were doing live coding and music was playing at the same time and it was being projected. An algorithm is an event where people dance to music generated from algorithms, often using live coding techniques. This concept is internationally known and will be good to introduce to the Kenyan landscape. I think you just had to be there to experience it. Nilikuwa tu na dua. Generally, my Kilele experience so far is the best event that I have attended so far in 2026. Next year, Kilele tunaingia from day one. To be honest, it was a breath of fresh air and hope for the creative minds. Such a wholesome experience. And boys and girls, that was my February in events. Feb also gave us a lot of releases. We have uploaded the recap reel with the snippets of all the February releases, sampled from our weekly playlist of new music. So go and check that out on our social media platforms. But just to mention a few projects you can check out: We Don't Need Money to Be Rich by Mutoria, Needs by We Are Nubia, Hekaya by Watendawili, Off My Chest by Mudhaka, Blending Allure 2 by Crystal Asige, UEP by Achieng, Rockstar Deluxe by Modest Shabari, 11 Express by 11 and Ya and Akili Huru, Take 2 Grey by Njoki. And my loves, kama umefika mwisho wa hii episode, as always, you are one of my favorite humans in the whole wide world. Tunawapenda sana, and thank you so much for listening to the Ongeza Volume podcast. Please feel free to comment on our social media platforms, on wherever you're listening to this podcast episode. If you've attended any of the events we've discussed or other events, please feel free to share your feedback with us on how the experience was. If you have some music you want us to listen to, please feel free to share. Also, do tell us your favorite song in February 2026. See you on episode 31.
Yani plan yako hizi kwa ya mtu mwingine, purpose ya Mungu wako yako si ya mtu mwingine. So already anajua Mungu ashamuelekeza kwa purpose yake. Na even if you want to, you cannot, because inatoka
the purpose is in the heart. Yeah. And then ndo sasa na go ahead and quote anasema huwezi juu Mungu ndo aliniambia.
Yeah.
Like God, so it's like a God-given purpose that you cannot steal.
Exactly.
Make more sense.
Nilikuwa na worry kwanza hiyo banda ni nini anamaanisha.
Journey.
Because it could have been something else.
Hata nikitranslate my friend niko hapo namwambia could mean, acha nikwambie vile niliambia mwingine. So she says you can't or won't come here and steal my journey, and then in brackets nikamwandikia shine or light. Hapa nashuku it could be used to mean something else. And even if you want to, you can't do it to my heart or soul. Sasa unaona hata mimi nilikuwa translate loosely as my you can't come here and steal my shine ama my light. Like inaweza tumika tu
it can be used in
different contexts. And then nikamwambia, then the second part where some words change, she says she can fix anything and everything, but I think it could be translated to